So good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday, right before a long Memorial Day weekend. I am pretty thrilled about today's interactive conversations. We have special guests from FedEx, and we're going to talk about their targets for carbon neutral operations. So we're pretty excited because this is bold. They've been working on it for a long time. And before we get started, I want to bring them to the forefront a couple of things. First of all, Jonathan Kirsting's with us each and every day, and he is the storyteller and the vice president of marketing of all things around tech. And he is going to be monitoring chat and making sure that we can facilitate some engagement should time allow us. And thanks to Huntington Bank for believing in us and joining, the experiments that we run over time, particularly over these last 16, 17 months. They've been with us, through the whole journey, making sure that we try to keep the community tethered and that relevant topics stay at the forefront of each and every one of us as we work in terms of tech and innovation. So thank you, Huntington Bank. And 40 by 80 is longitude and latitude of Pittsburgh, and it is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Pittsburgh Tech Council. And that's where we work on all things entrepreneurship and pathways to new opportunities. And you'll hear more about that in a few weeks. So we've muted your microphones. And as I mentioned earlier, I would love to have a chat and have discussion. So we're excited about offering the opportunity, and it's also being recorded. So we are very excited to be hosting several of our friends. FedEx has been friends of the Tech Council for a long time. Before I introduce Dermot Murray, who's sustainability manager at FedEx, and Lonnie Madison, who is the manager of sustainability at FedEx Ground. I just want to bring to the forefront Ken Spangler. He serves on the council's board of directors. He's been active. He's a Pittsburgher, but even though he has a global job, he has deep roots and passion for all things Pittsburgh, and he spent a lot of his career here on the ground, but he's now Chief Information Officer for FedEx. So Ken, before I introduce these two gentlemen, how are you?
I'm well, Audrey, and this is awesome. It's awesome you are hosting these, and so thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So anything you want to say just to set the stage before I bring up Lonnie and Dermot?
Well, I'll just mention that this is something that's been important to FedEx for a long time. It's not just something that's recent. Our chairman is still our founder, Fred Smith, and obviously he's one of the great innovators and a brilliant man. But this has been important for decades, and this is just taking it to the next level. It's been a continuous progression. So I'm excited, and I appreciate Dermot and Lonnie being here today, because the key thing I would mention is, this isn't just assignments for them. This is jobs. This is how important it is for FedEx. They do this for a living. And so we're really glad to have them here today, and thanks for having us.
Thank you, Ken. Stay safe. We hope to see you soon in real time. So Dermot and Lonnie, I mentioned your jobs and the roles that you have, and we have a lot of content to try to pack in today. So I'd like to start by having you both briefly just introduce yourself and just talk a little bit about your background, what you do, be as take it wherever you want, and just give us a quick overview of your responsibilities. So I'll start with Dermot. Thank you, Dermot. And just to let everyone know, he's sustainability manager at FedEx.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So as Audrey said, my name is Dermot Murray, and I've been with FedEx coming on almost a decade now. It'll be a decade this November. And as Audrey mentioned, I'm the sustainability manager with FedEx Corporation. And in that particular role, I'm responsible for implementing our strategic long-range planning and reporting on the progress and effectiveness of FedEx's sustainability strategy to our senior leadership, as well as to external stakeholders. So I oversee our annual ESG, or environmental social governance reporting process. And I also manage our engagement activities with a variety of different external ESG stakeholders, such as ESG rating agencies, institutional investors, etc. And I also co-chair an internal sourcing sustainability impact team that we have at FedEx to drive sustainability throughout our own supply chains as well. And in addition to that, I also sort of oversee our periodic ESG materiality assessment processes to make sure that that we're prioritizing the key ESG related topics and issues for FedEx as a business. So with that, I'll hand it back.
That's great. That's a lot, and that's great. Thank you. And Lonnie, I mentioned Lonnie. He is the manager of sustainability at FedEx Ground, and he's based in Pittsburgh. So Lonnie, tell us a little bit about what you do and your journey.
Thanks, Audrey. Really appreciate the time today. Thanks for the invitation and for hosting us as well during this event. Like you said, my position, I'm the manager of sustainability at FedEx Ground. Really manage the all aspects of sustainability. I have a small team that manages pretty much all aspects of sustainability within FedEx Ground. Runs the gamut of renewable energy projects, energy efficiency, alternative fuel vehicles, waste and recycling, and sustainability engagement. I mean, everything. And such an important topic like this. We're definitely dedicated to making sure that we now with the new announcement of 2040 goals that we're following through with that, and we have strategies in place to continue to pursue it. I also I'm part of I lead a team and a sustainability impact team for our facilities initiatives within Express, Ground, and pretty much all the opcos within our enterprise. And we're focused on a lot of these initiatives as well. And and now with my small team, we're definitely dedicated to making sure that we have strategies in place to continue moving forward. So,
well, as Ken said earlier, that FedEx has been committed to this for a very long time. In early March, FedEx made a historic pledge, though, to achieve carbon neutral operations on a global basis by 2040. That's not that far away. So we get excited about this here at the council, but not only the benefits that it can bring to the planet, but also because of the complexity of the challenges that FedEx will face, sort of along the way, and the many breakthrough technologies that you can help bring to the market. Do you want to either of you want to talk about that, Dermot? Do you
Sure.
want to? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give that sort of to use a transportation industry metaphor. I'll give the 50,000-foot view, and then Lonnie can certainly get into more specifics.
No, that's great.
In terms of how that's going to get implemented at FedEx, especially through the FedEx Ground operating company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and Ken mentioned it at the beginning. Our roots in sustainability run deep, and we know that the future of our business is tied to the future of our planet, and that's why we innovate every day, in order to connect the world responsibly and resourcefully. So you're right. Back in March of this year, we announced the goal to achieve carbon neutrality for our global operations by 2040, and that basically covers three scopes, if you like, of emissions. For those of you who are familiar with the jargon of our industry, so scope one emissions refer to the direct emissions that are generated by virtue of a company like FedEx, basically, burning fossil fuels, right? So that's obviously the emissions generated by our company-owned aircraft, vehicles, as well as our, any sort of, fossil fuels consumed at our facilities. So, natural gas, etc. The second scope is scope two. So scope two basically includes all of our purchased electricity that we use to power those facilities, right? Our 5,000 plus operating facilities around the world. And then the third piece of it is scope three emissions, which is sort of that, it kind of sometimes referred to as value chain emissions. So emissions that are generated by other entities, that support the business. In this particular case, it includes the contracted transportation emissions. So those would be emissions, for instance, that are generated by contractor vehicles at FedEx Ground and other operating companies. So those are the three sort of scopes, if you like, that are covered, that will be covered by that 2040 goal. So as a company with more than 200,000 motorized vehicles, 680 aircraft, and as I mentioned, more than 5,000 operating facilities around the world, transforming our operations to carbon neutral by 2040 is going to be a significant endeavor that's going to have a far-reaching impact, on the planet. And we've created essentially a roadmap to help us really, achieve that goal. And that'll include sort of high-tech, low carbon, and and zero emission technology upgrades, as well as new climate friendly solutions for our customers, and industry-wide research and innovation to really help move our entire sector towards a more sustainable carbon neutral footing. And we, as part of the announcement that we made in March, we said that we're committing $2 billion of investment to support initiatives designed to make our company operations more sustainable across those different areas I just mentioned. Motorized vehicle, aircraft, and facilities. And so these initiatives, these investments will be kind of focused across three key areas. So the first is really is vehicle electrification, which again is part of the goal that we announced, that we will be committing to having. Our plan will be to have 100% pickup and delivery vehicles will be fully electric by 2040. So obviously a big investment will be made. It will be required in order to transition our fleet over to our pickup and delivery fleet over to fully electric by that period. The second part is sustainable energy investment. So so obviously it's one thing to have fully electric pickup and delivery vehicle fleets, but you also need to make sure that the energy used to charge those vehicles will be fully zero emission as well. And not to mention, of course, the other energy that's required within our facilities just to operate hubs and sorting facilities, etc. So that's going to be the second part. And then the last part is carbon sequestration. And all of these three components together will help us to reach our carbon neutral 2040 goals. And the reason why I bring up carbon sequestration is, so unlike the other transportation modes that we operate, right, that can be powered by electric vehicle technologies, batteries, hydrogen, other types of clean technologies. Achieving true sustainability within aviation has really proven to be a major obstacle. And that's why, because there really isn't a clear path forward, if you like, right, for aviation around to achieve zero emissions, right? So that's why we pledged that $100 million to Yale University to establish the Yale Center for Natural Carbon Capture, which will accelerate research into methods of carbon sequestration, both natural and industrial carbon sequestration at scale. And actually the focus for that investment and that center will be to offset greenhouse gas emissions equivalent to the entire footprint of the aviation sector. So it's not just our piece of it; it's all aviation that will ultimately benefit from this investment.
Just from my view, Dermot, that's probably the toughest. That's the toughest piece, right? In
Absolutely.
terms of achieving any of this.
Absolutely.
If I could just jump to Lonnie really quickly, what about innovation and technology? Anything that you want to sort of add to that in terms of, how to achieve this and what some strategies might be? Because I'm sure that you have a great team in-house, but there are a lot of people who are working on lots of solutions. Can you talk to that, Lonnie?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think Dermot is correct. As we move forward, here, especially with FedEx Ground, focused on a significant focus on EV charging, and providing the infrastructure that'll make that possible within our facilities, because we don't own or operate, the vehicles. Those are owned and operated by service providers. We do need to be able to provide charging infrastructure and make our facilities capable of charging those vehicles as they operate within our facilities. So, there's a large investment that we're making to put in EV charging infrastructure at those locations to make sure that they have access to it, but as well as trying to implement software within our facilities that will manage the power demand that these vehicles are going to require. Because moving forward, we're not only going to have to think about powering our facilities to sort the packages, but also how we're going to power these vehicles, and as well as thinking about contingencies for, when there is power outages or rolling outages like we see in California. How are we going to make sure that these vehicles get charged. And
Right.
we're looking at possibilities of implementing microgrid technology in some of our locations to make sure that we have that resiliency within our facilities to continue to provide power for the vehicles, and that way they can operate the next day, as well as looking at how to manage that power within the facility, so we don't have to put additional services utility services within our building when it's not really needed. So there's just a lot of technology and a lot of innovation that's leading us in this direction, and then just a lot of unknowns, because at this point the EV technology for delivery vehicles is very early on in the process. And as we move forward, I think we're being we're taking steps that are very forward looking, as far as when we see facilities that are 100% EV and operating that many vehicles out of these locations that are strictly electric. So there's a lot of things to consider,
Right.
As well as what Dermot mentioned. The power that we're providing to this building, is it clean? Is it renewable?
Right.
And that's that goes in parallel with our strategy to make sure that we're implementing not only the infrastructure, charge the vehicles, but also to make sure that the power that we're providing is clean as well.
Right. So all of that's critical to your success, and particularly on the ground level. So what about sustainable fuels? So we can move to electricity, with most of the fleet, as you've just talked about. There are a couple of areas that face some challenges. We just talked about that in terms of aircraft, and long haul tractor trailers. They struggle with weight and cargo restrictions associated with very heavy batteries that also take up a lot of space. So it's not just the heaviness of it. In those cases, it would be great to have carbon-friendly liquid, fuels to play into your plan. What is the state of that? How do you interface with that piece of the strategy?
Yeah, if I could start perhaps with the in terms of the sustainable aviation fuels, and we actually have had a long-standing goal at FedEx, which actually our chairman, Mr. Smith himself, set and announced back in, I think it was 2008. But we've had a long-standing goal to have basically by 2030 that 30% of our aviation fuel will be sourced from alternative sources, with obviously preferences towards sustainable sources. And so we've been working towards that goal for the last number of years. We've got a special team within our FedEx Express Air Operations Division that's just been solely focused on how we can, in working with different partners in the supply chain, and the sustainable fuel supply chain, to come up with a strategy, if you like, towards meeting that goal. And a few years ago, we announced a deal with Red Rock Biofuels, which is a sustainable fuels startup based up out in the Colorado. But they're in the process of completing a bio refinery for jet fuel in Eastern Oregon, which is basically take the if you like, the byproduct of the lumber industry out there to convert that sort of waste product, if you like, into sustainable jet fuel. So that deal has been in the works for a while, and because of COVID, there were some delays in getting the expected first delivery of that fuel, which was supposed to happen this year, or last year, but we'll now looking at, I think, sometime hopefully next year, by the time we get that in place. But that's it has been a challenge, just obviously because to really scale up the the procurement of the supply of sustainable jet fuels, given everything that's been going on with low oil prices, and of course now with more recently with the pandemic, etc., it's definitely been a challenge to be able to obtain that type of fuel at a cost competitive level. And we will continue investing in those types of opportunities and exploring those types of opportunities to meet, to hopefully towards that goal of 30% by 2030. But I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think we've also come to the realization that, SAF alone will not get us there. We will also continue investing in more fuel efficient aircraft. So for instance, we've, through our aircraft fleet modernization program, we actually recently acquired our 100th Boeing 767 aircraft, which is a 30% more efficient model than the MD-10 aircraft that it's going to replace. And we've, we're very close to basically completing that particular, that sort of replacement cycle. And, since 2014, for instance, the introduction of the 767 into our fleet has saved more than 500 million gallons of fuel. So, we'll continue to invest in these types of technologies, more fuel efficient aircraft, as well as our fuels conservation program, which is called Fuel Sense. And actually, since 2007, our aircraft emissions intensity has actually been reduced by 27%. As of fiscal year 20. So we will continue to make those investments to make that part of the operations more efficient. But again, I think ultimately that's why we are making that $100 million investment in Yale, because we do know that we're going to have to be looking at offsets, in the future in order to be able to achieve that 2040 objective. And so.
Yeah, I appreciate your candor on that. Before we get to two questions that we have out there, or a few questions, I want to go back to Lonnie for one moment, and then Jonathan, you can bring up these questions. Can we talk about packaging a little bit? Are you able to talk a little bit about where innovation is occurring in reducing waste from packaging, or how that fits into your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at obviously a lot of areas within packaging for FedEx Ground. I mean, we have a robust recycling program in place at our facilities. I mean, obviously we don't manufacture anything, but with shipment, there is a lot of externalities associated with with the shipping material. But yeah, we've had for going on close to 9 to 10 years now a robust recycling program for cardboard, plastic, as well as pallets, which is a significant amount at FedEx Ground. And moving forward, we're also looking, trying to minimize as much of that as possible. We do have a program in place for our uniform recycling, because these are because the type of material that we use in our uniforms is a certain material that cannot be easily recyclable. We've partnered with vendors that are able to provide services to recycle those uniforms, and we're able to replicate that throughout our network, throughout the enterprise as well, and reusing that material that not only repurposes the material of the uniform, but also provides a level of security for us to make sure that our logoed uniforms are not being used for other purposes. So, we're able to, recycle that material and reuse it for, insulation for facilities, or possibly, packing material as well. So yeah, there's just a lot of advantages there.
Yeah, so that's great. So Jonathan, thank you for that, Lonnie. I know we're trying to pack a lot in, and there's so much. I'm not trying to simplify your efforts at all. Jonathan, can you bring up a couple of these questions, please?
Absolutely. I also have one in the private chat from Griffin Schultz that we hope to get to. It's a really good one. We'll start with Sam Brower. Wants to know, is FedEx looking at alternative aircraft design to use electrification of aircraft for short haul routes? That's kind of interesting.
Dermot?
Yeah, I'm not sure we can say much on that front. It's obviously that's very sort of cutting edge type of technology that's currently being developed. And I think there's obviously a lot of there's a lot of uncertainty about how that type of technology will ultimately evolve. So it's not so obviously we didn't include that as part of our 2040 goal announcement, because it's very far out. So at this stage, I don't think we can say much on that front, but it's a great question though.
Excellent. So here's a question from Griffin Schultz. Wants to know, he says, there's a lot of tech innovation in Pittsburgh that directly or indirectly supports sustainability initiatives. Wants to know if either Dermot, Lonnie, or anyone, FedEx with any local, are you working with any local Pittsburgh tech companies on sustainability issues? If not, how can a company get in touch with FedEx if they think they have a solution that could be helpful with their sustainability efforts?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any any local companies that we're currently working with, but obviously we have some partners, that have national coverage as well as international coverage. So none that I can mention on this call, but yeah.
No, that's fine. And really, where that question emanates from is part of the work that we do. We have lots of innovators, people building companies and ideas that they think will be able to help solve some of your problems. So that's really what the ask is about. Are there ways to get connected?
Yeah, and we are part of the Sustainable Pittsburgh initiative as well. So, I mean, we participate in several Sustainable Pittsburgh challenges. So, we're part of that community as well.
Okay, great.
Very cool. So a question here from Mark Emery. Are you looking at any nanotechnologies to improve the efficiency of your trucks and planes?
Either? Anything on
Not that
nano?
not that I'm aware of, but again,
Okay.
I'm the 50, back to my earlier comment, I'm the 50,000 foot view guy. So
No, that's fine.
that could well be going on within our vehicle operations at the various opcos for sure.
Okay, good.
Cool. Let's keep them going. So Simon Curtis would like to know, where does the technology stand where things are going to be delivered by drones, or is this not scalable?
Well, we've actually been undertaking a pilot with Wing Aviation, which is a subsidiary of Alphabet, basically piloting the sort of drone deliveries. I believe somewhere in Virginia is where they're carrying out those trials. So I'm not exactly sure where that's sort of netting out. But what I will say is, one of the big sort of bets that FedEx is making is on in the area of autonomous technologies. Of course, is our Roxo same day bot, which is a fully sort of automated and zero emission solution for last mile delivery, and hopefully coming soon to a street near you. But that's an initiative that kind of got started a couple of years ago. It's a partnership with Deca Labs, which is the developer of the Segway product. Yeah. So and it's I think we're now into the second or third generation, maybe the second generation of the Roxo bot. So there's been a lot of development going on, testing and prototyping, etc. And I believe I think we're getting very close to when that particular product will be sort of market ready, and it will be a solution that will be delivering. We'll be doing last mile delivery solutions within hopefully the not too distant future. So watch the space.
Very cool.
Okay, so as we wrap up, let me ask both of you gentlemen, are either of you hiring?
Absolutely.
What does that mean? What kinds of jobs are you looking for to fill?
Uh,
I mean, I won't speak for everybody, but I think that we're a growing company, and as we continue to grow, we're going to need people to staff positions, and definitely within with sustainability. I know there's a lot of roles within, not directly with necessarily my group, but that support the sustainability effort moving forward. So yeah, I definitely would say that there's plenty of positions out there and plenty of people that we'd be looking to fill those positions.
Yeah, if I could add, I mean, obviously, in addition to just pure play sort of sustainability type opportunities, the fact that we've got this sort of very ambitious, strategic goal out there now, and that we're going to be, as a company, pulling together to work to achieve that goal. There'll be a lot of sort of opportunities that have a sustainability impact, if you like, throughout the business, and various different aspects of operations and marketing and communications and etc. So yeah, somebody posted a link to our career site on the chat window there. So definitely keep an eye out on that. And there's anytime there's a new opportunity, that's related to this, it'll be posted there. So.
Well, I can't thank you both enough. I know that your worlds are hectic and you're taking on really big, hairy stuff. And I know that we are going to be very proud of the work that you're all doing, and we'll stay connected. I want to thank FedEx for being so transparent and bold in terms of their commitment for however long they've been doing it, maybe from the onset. But I can tell you they've really stepped up. And, these are the issues that matter to each and every one of us. So I want to thank you, Dermot, for joining us. Thank you, Lonnie. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Ken Spangler, CIO, who's on our board, who made a little cameo appearance early on. And Jonathan, what's ahead? What's the scoop?
Lots of scoop going on here, Audrey. So we'll see everybody back here again on Tuesday as we welcome federated investors. We also have a couple announcements we'll be making about future business as usual and some new guests that are going to be pretty exciting. We're very pumped.
That's great. So thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Dermot. Thank you, Lonnie. Everyone stay safe. Have an amazing weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. And by the way, I can make one shameless plug, fedex.com/sustainability. That's where you'll find all the great information about our sustainability goals, our journey, and other resources as well. So I encourage all the folks on the line to check that out.
Thank you. And we put the link in. We'll put the link
great.
next to the recording. So
Wonderful.
thanks, everyone. Stay
Thanks,
safe.
everybody.
Thank you.